Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this session. Today, we're going to talk about our phones. How do you avoid someone stealing your phone? And what's the best way to protect yourself? So, in case you're joining us for the first time, I'm Patrick Enin. I'm the CEO and founder of Orukka. Orukka is a smart payment ring where we allow people to spend, tap to make payments easily so you don't rely on your phones. Okay, I have nothing against phones, but phones are one of the riskiest products to carry out there. If you look at those days, we used to have I'm at work here, by the way. So in case you haven't noticed, I try to take time off from my work to talk to my customers as much as possible, which is what every CEO should do, by the way. So we're always in meetings, all managers, you know yourselves, you're always in meetings, talking. But imagine if you could spend a little bit more time speaking to customers. That's what we do in these sessions. And for today, we want to talk about phones and security around phones. And so just going back to the history, previously we used to do everything on our laptop, but a good percentage of us these days actually do a lot more from our phones. We talk to people on our phones, which we used to, text on our phones, and now we do banking on our phones. Previously, you had to walk into a bank to withdraw money or open an account. Then you moved it to a laptop. You could do everything on the laptop. Now you could do it on your phone. In terms of what the functionality is on the phone is really important. Let's talk about pictures as well. Social media is on the rise. Everyone's always on social media. Again, what do you do with that? Simple. You've got all your pictures on it. I was looking, and I don't take pictures, okay, a lot. But I was looking at in terms of the amount of pictures I have. I have 14,000 pictures. I couldn't believe it. 14,000. Again, guys, you can look at this when you have a chance. Just look at what you've got. It's crazy the amount of pictures you've got on your phone, which is just a storage device. That would have been an album, a stack of album those days, okay? But that's what you have carrying around on your phone. Navigation, address, personal information, passport details. The amount of things we have on our phone is scary to bring out and walk around, okay? So that shows the importance of theft and what happens when your phone is gone. Excuse me. So again, the question now becomes, what happens when someone steals your phone? So I can tell you right now, anyone, especially in city centers, if that's happened to you before, you understand how weak and draining that is, okay? That someone's just taking all that information that used to be packed in your hands and it's gone, just like that. And then this is how much more scary it is. When this happens, okay, you've been scoped for a while, okay? When it happens, it's not just one person going after you. There's usually a band of them, 2 or 3 scoping you, maybe 1 or 2 trying to delay you from running. They could have loads of bikes. I mean, you've seen this on Instagram. Just go in and check. Theft, it's on the rise, especially in cities. I don't want to go into why. Okay, we'll be here forever. But I think what I want to do is just find out how to protect ourselves from these situations when it happens. So the question is, what happens as soon as your phone is stolen? I can tell you right now, we all know, right? So first thing is your private data is gone. So what they want to do is take as much information as possible in terms of your data, pictures, email, passwords. Those get sold away in the black markets. And what you can also do as well is that they go in and they go into your banking app. So if for some reason your bank is not well protected, or your app, your fintech apps, for instance, if it's all on your phone, what they do is try and log in and see how much quickly they can drain cash from it. A lot of phones now, you also do tap to pay, so they can just go in and tap to pay as quickly as possible. And then lastly, what they do is obviously sell the phone. So this phone, if you look at, this is a shitty phone, right? But if you look at this phone, they probably go for $20, $30. Now, they're not going to sell it in Europe, right? If they've stolen in Europe, they're going to go to another continent. They ship it to another continent to sell, and which is quite scary in terms of the information. But they try and wipe out as much as possible and then go ahead and sell the phone. So that's what happens, okay, in truth. And again, there's a show on the BBC where they went through the story on or the path of how it goes, especially between the UK and how it goes and ends up in some part of Asia. Again, I don't like mentioning countries because there's always a stigma associated with that country. But it's scary, where those things go. So my question now becomes, and the topic of this video is, how do you avoid that, okay? Firstly is to recognize what you're carrying around, okay? So I say that because, again, if you're carrying around $10,000, you're not going to carry $10,000 in your hands like this, okay? If you're carrying around gold, you're not going to carry gold like this, no matter how safe it is, or you just don't carry it around this way. So when people go around and carry their phones this way, it's scary. That shows they've just trivialized the amount of information that's this holds. Okay, that's a lot. So the point I'm trying to make is the fact that, guys, please be careful. Know what you're carrying and know the importance of what you're carrying. These days, that's almost your life on it. Phone, your directions everywhere, pictures, private data, all in it. So if you're carrying this, that means you don't want to carry this around. Again, as I said, CEO of Orukka, and one of the things why I went into this was obviously I love rings. Let's start with that. In case you haven't noticed, I love my rings, and I was always a geek when it comes to rings. All the movies I watched it that had the rings. Lord of the Rings, Goodfellas, Godfather, everything, including those with the pinky rings. I have an episode talking about that. However, I think again, I was working in banking for almost 20 years, and I've got a few friends in banking where one of them came over last year to Canary Wharf and then was carrying his phone around. And then what happened is someone came in, snatched the phone, and then stabbed him because he wasn't quick enough to release the phone. Again, this is the backup that they have, right? So they stabbed him and just about missed his lungs. And that was scary, right? And made me think I just put together this app, which is effectively your ring. With that, you don't need to carry your phones around to make payments. You don't have to carry your phone around to check your balances. You know, you don't have to carry your phone around except for navigation. But even then, your Apple Watch can actually do your navigation these days. The idea then was, especially for this ring, and which I think you would recommend to anyone watching this. Number one is my product, so I recommend it. Number two is just for security as well. Because then, if you go out to a city, a restaurant, a canteen, you know, or a concert, any of those, all you have to do is just walk around with this, make your payments. You don't need to bring out your phone. Well, and if you brought out your phone, you don't need to check your balances because you tap and you go. That's it. So that's one thing to watch around for. Other ways of making payments. Okay. And that's important. If someone even grabs your phone, you can still go home because you have your ring. Okay. So look for other ways to make payments so you can avoid walking around with your phones. Okay. Number two, then obviously, apart from watching your surroundings as well, is also being careful of people looking over your shoulders. That's interesting because so, and this is how long. Okay, so if someone steals your phone, believe it or not, they might have been watching for quite a while, because what usually happens is they want to make sure that they can get into your phone when it's open. Because if it's locked, then there's no need, right? Most phones these days, you need your Face ID or you need a password to open up the phone. But if it's locked, then it makes no. So that would mean that the people before they come and rob your phone have seen you put your password in, or they've seen that you're actively using the phone. And I've seen that already. So if you notice, there's again, check on YouTube here, there's a show where the guy actually mentioned how long he stacks people through the night. So you'd go in, meet you in the club, see or try and get your password, or ask you or get you to put your password in. Once you know the password, to go ahead and grab the phone 1 hour later or 30 minutes later from someone else. So these guys work in a gang, as I've said from the start. So that's important to notice. When you put your password in, even if you're helping someone, don't let anyone snoop over you. Okay. And that was always the case as well in banking. It's a case with your laptop. It's a case with your laptop as well. So when your laptop comes in, you should make sure you avoid that. Then the other point I think worth noticing as well is one of my colleagues mentioned this to me, and that's locking certain applications. Okay. And so right now I can tell you, and you should do this. If you haven't done it, do it. My password, my notes. Okay. And again, good luck anyone trying to take this. My phone is never on my hands. But your notes, you should always have a password on it. So if someone grabs your phone, it can't go into your notes. I say that because there's a lot of information that we put into our notes these days. Whatever it is in there, it's important. So if you're using an iPhone or if you're using an Android, your notes should always be locked. So you need an extra set of password or ID to get in there. And number two, then is also your emails. So email is important because what happens, they go in, they steal what they want to steal, and they send emails to each other. Okay. And a lot of information is on the emails as well. So you lock that. You can also lock your photos as well. So that means someone grabs your phone, they need a Face ID to actually get into the photos, which then ruins everything in terms of passwords or copies of passwords, copies of pictures, private information that you have. So that's the second point, or one other point to really, really watch out for. Get a second layer of security on key apps. Okay, put your password in there and make sure there's an extra set of password that's needed for those applications. It's a pain. Okay, it almost annoys me sometimes, and I have to go back in and then put a password. But I'm like, listen, I'll go through this pain to not have to worry about if someone grabs my phone. Even if you grab it, guess what? You can't do anything with it because the notes are locked, the pictures are locked, all my banking apps are locked. So the best you get would be $30 or $40 on the phone. Okay, so that's important to watch out for. And then lastly, then obviously is your lock. So again, this is clear, right? But please don't use 000 for your password or 123. Okay. In fact, most phone apps these days are trying to avoid that as much as possible. But in general, try and make it as secure as you can. It shouldn't be a date of birth as well because these guys can guess it. But just go for something random that you can pick up. Okay, go. So that's it for me, guys. Thanks for joining. Sorry, guys. I have to cut that part. Oh, guys, thank you for joining and be careful with your phone. Careful out there. Okay, bye.